Hi. Today I wanted to talk to you about mistakes that you can avoid when you order samples, and that are mistakes that either cost you money, or that cost you time, or that cost you both. So I'm just taking a little walk here, and I thought I'd take you with me through a little part of Shenzhen here with China. You can see the little buildings here. They just put them in. Put this pretty park in here. Here they got the other higher towers. They got the Hilton Hotel behind me. It's quite a nice area, and usually when I show people videos from here, at first sight they don't believe that we're in China, because it looks a little bit like, I don't know, somewhere in California. Just right now the weather is a bit gray and shitty. Here, by the way, here's the sea. We got the Hong Kong mountains over there. But that's totally off the point. So what I want to talk to you really today is about samples, about the costs of samples, how you can get them down, how you can get samples for free often, not all the time, but often how you can get samples for free, and how you can make sure that you are most time efficient with samples. Because one of the biggest mistakes that people do with samples is that they order the wrong samples. What do I mean by that? What people do is they go about the whole sourcing process the wrong way. Okay, so when you very first, let's say you want to source a product, right? You want to source a product, and you go out, you approach different Alibaba suppliers, and you tell the suppliers, okay, I want my product to be, I want it to be red, and I want my logo on it. I want to change the size, and I want it, have some other kind of, and I want to have custom packaging. Okay, so you go out with all of these information, and then it takes you hours and days of work, and sometimes weeks, to even tell the supplier exactly what you wanted, and to make sure that they understand, right? Then the supplier finally understands, you order a sample, and the sample you get looks nothing like the way you want it, right? So you order a sample, and you think it's not so difficult, right? If you've never done that, you think, how can it be difficult? I make a good description. I make they'll get it, And then you get the sample, and it's not red, but it's pink, and it doesn't have your logo on it. And you go back and say, hey guys, it's not red. I need it red, please. And then they make it red, send it to you, but then there's no logo on it. And you say, hey guys, cool, now it's red. Now please, I need it red, and my logo has to be on it. Then it comes back, it's red, the logo's on it, but the logo's upside down, right? So and these things that's very, very normal. Okay, it's very, very normal that these things happen, to be honest. And if you've never done that and you don't believe me, go try, you'll see. But the problem is not if you do that with one supplier, because eventually you have to do that with one of the suppliers. But the problem is if you're very first seeking out samples and you're doing that with 5 suppliers or 6 suppliers or 7 suppliers, and you're asking samples from all of them, and you do this process with a couple of suppliers. Because that moment then already that's the moment where most people give up already. Okay, that's the moment where most people say, well, where most people give up on Amazon and go into dropshipping. Right? That's kind of how it goes. So how can you avoid that? How can you avoid the trouble? How can you avoid the costs? Because imagine what it costs. You have 5 suppliers sending you samples all the time. The shipping costs for those samples, and the samples might be around $80. So you're spending hundreds of dollars for your samples already here. And you really want to avoid that, plus all the time it takes. You don't have to take weeks for that, okay? So this is the number one mistake that people do, is getting samples, the very first sample, getting them as customized sample, okay? So getting them as your sample with your logo, with your changes. And that's a mistake here, okay? What you want to do is you want to get the quotations from the supplier, including your changes. So you want to know what it costs to have your logo on it, what MOQ that is. You want to know, how much is the packaging. You want to know that, right? But then when you order the sample, when you order the very first samples, the only reason to order these samples is to check if the quality is all right from the supplier. That's the only reason why you would want to have those samples. The only reason why you need those samples. Because you need to see which of the suppliers has a good quality and where the prices are right, or the conditions are right. And then based on that, you pick your supplier that you move forward in the next step, and then you get a customized sample with your changes, with your logo, with the packaging, before you place your order. Okay, that's kind of the process here. So what you really want to do is ask five to 10 suppliers for their quotes. And in best case, you have your sourcing agent do that for you. You never want to source yourself, by the way. But that's another episode for another time. Probably going to put the video somewhere here. You can watch that. But what's really important here is that you need to have simple samples off the shelf. You just want to see the quality. Okay, so that's just the biggest mistakes that I see when people order samples. The second biggest mistake that I see is spending too much money on these samples. Right? Everyone's complaining, oh, the supplier want to charge me $100 for my sample. Well, right, if you do a customized sample, then do changes on it, they need to see you legit. They're spending a lot of time in it, right? So they need to be sure as well that that works for them. So that's normal. But the first sample, the one without customization, that's simple. You can do that. Oftentimes you can get the sample for free. Just the problem with most of the money you're spending here, that's shipping money, right? So the money to get the sample from China to you. And the one thing that you can save here are all of those shipping costs if you have someone in China who can bundle those samples for you. Okay, so in best case, you get a sourcing agent anyway who can already give you the quotations, who can already give you the prices, the quotes, who can order samples for you, and who can then bundle these samples. So the agent would get these samples to his or her place, put them all in one box, and then send them to you in one box. Because that time you only pay shipping once, right? That time you don't have to pay shipping for each of those individual samples. That way you can simply pay one time for shipping. Okay, so if you have 5 or 6 samples, instead of spending, what's that, $300, $400, don't do that. Okay, get them bundled, get them all in one. You spend $100 or so, and then that's really it. So that's just my really quick video here for you on the samples. Again, you should never source your own product. You should always have someone do that for you. And if you want to learn more about how to find your supplier, by the way, I got some trainings down here. It's cheaper than going out to eat for, let's say you take your spouse and you go for pizza. The training's cheaper than that. Okay. And the training is going to save you a bunch of time, a bunch of money. So make sure to check out all of these trainings. That free trainings, paid trainings, how to find your product, how to find your supplier, how to find your sourcing agent, how to do all of those things that we talked about. You'll find all infos below. So make sure to check those out. Share this video, like this video, and subscribe to this channel because we're doing videos every day. We're doing content every day. If you rather like to listen to this, just look for the Easy Peasy Sourcing podcast on iTunes or anywhere, really, where there's podcast. I wish you a great start in the week. Have a good one. Cheers.